Hey everybody, I'm ZombieJohnny, and today we're going to be taking a look at a comic book that is held in the highest regard. This is Batman: The Dark Knight Returns.
Batman: The Dark Knight Returns was written and penciled by Frank Miller, inked by Klaus, Janson, colored by Lynn, Varley, and published by DC Comics. The original publication date was from February to June in 1986. The comic opens with a newspaper clipping talking about a small saloon filled with old boozers reminiscing about the good old days, or the Golden Age as they call it. They talk about the Man of Steel and the Amazon Princess, but they don't mention the mean one, the one who couldn't fly or bend steel with his bare hands. This two-page spread is so poetically written, it almost makes me cry, referencing DC characters from across the ages and across the universe. To someone who isn't a huge DC enthusiast, I had to do some digging on the references in this article. They talk about Martian Manhunter and Ralph Dibny, the Elongated Man. This was written for people who understand the inside references, and I am not one of those people, but it's still written so well that it doesn't matter if you understand them or not. It still hits you the same way. The story begins with Bruce Wayne racing in some sort of vehicle. I think it's a motorcycle. But anyway, it ends up in a fiery wreck. Don't worry, Bruce jumps out at the last minute and is practically unscathed. The next page starts with a news broadcast explaining that Gotham is being hit by a terrible heat wave. The next segment starts and the latest news on the mutant gang is revealed, and Commissioner Gordon's retirement is coming up quick, but this new threat is going to be the last case before he retires. As they are explaining this new case, they mention that the Batman's last reported sighting was 10 years ago on the day. Next, Mr. Wayne and Mr. Gordon are having drinks and reminiscing about the good old days. After finishing their drinks, Bruce decides to take a stroll on the streets of Gotham and is approached by some members of the mutant gang. Bruce decides to be smart about his encounter and recedes in defense. This causes the mutant gang to lose interest and leave him alone. The next day opens with another news broadcast about the release of Harvey Dent after his reconstructive surgery and psychiatric evaluation. After the news broadcast ends, we find Mr. Wayne asleep at night having a recollective nightmare of the day he fell into the Batcave. This causes Mr. Wayne to wake up and make his way down into the Batcave that has been unused for many years. He swears he will never use it again. While still awake from his nightmare, Alfred gets him a glass of wine as he watches the late-night news. An all-points bulletin is issued for Harvey Dent, as it seems he is back to his old ways of crime. A broadcast of Zorro comes on, and Bruce has a post-traumatic episode. Recollecting the night his parents were murdered, something inside of him snaps. As the heat wave lifts and the rain over Gotham starts to pour, Bruce Wayne embraces the Batman once again. As the storm rolls over Gotham, some small-time thugs are taken down quickly. There is a report of a bank robbery in progress and the Gotham City Police are in pursuit. A young cadet doesn't believe his eyes when he witnesses the Batman move along the cityscape, as an older officer says, "We're in for a show, kid." I know my explanation doesn't do any justice to this, but when I read this part, it gives me chills. As the police pull up at a construction site, the Batman shouts, "These men are mine." Batman disarms them and shatters their bones. After searching one of the thugs, he is revealed to have a two-faced coin in his possession. The hunt for Harvey Dent is on, and this is where our Batman adventure begins. The combination of Miller writing and penciling, Janson's inking, and Varley coloring is something magical. Batman, Robin, and the cast of villains and characters have never looked so good. Miller's way of storytelling is to cram as much as he can into one page. All of the panels are very small and contain lots of story and information in them, but it doesn't ever feel dense or over-descriptive. It makes it feel like it's a hard-hitting and fast story. There are breaks in the pages with beautifully done full-page illustrations that I'm left almost speechless when trying to describe them. The only words that come to me are masterfully crafted. Frank Miller's writing is impeccable. His storytelling is impeccable as well. His use of news broadcasts to break up the sections helps you stay immersed in the world of Gotham. It keeps you up to date as well as being entertaining. Miller's depiction of Gotham feels very well lived in. The world is dark and gritty, but it's also very believable. Even though it has its fantastical elements, it seems to feel like it's a world that is not too far from our own. I absolutely love Miller's use of words and negative space in his panels. It adds almost a surrealist element to the pages, but it never feels out of place. With the addition of Lynn Varley's coloring, it also makes the words stand out in all of the right ways. I'd like to discuss Mrs. Varley's coloring for a moment. Apparently, The Dark Knight Returns was colored with watercolor, but man, it gives this comic the exact feeling it needs. The colors are washed out and soft, in contrast with the very heavy blacks and shading. The color is also very bleak and never too vibrant. It blends so well with the universe of Batman. Well, it's never too vibrant until Superman comes around, but he's kind of dreamy and otherworldly anyway, so it makes sense to have him paired with a vibrant color. Ooh, what a hunk! Now, to move on to the inking. Klaus Janson had worked on Daredevil with Frank Miller. Miller began to heavily rely on Janson's illustrative prowess during the process of working on Daredevil, to the point where Miller was just sending Janson rough layouts and he would fill in the rest. His illustrative prowess was once again showcased, and they collaborated again to blow their work on Daredevil out of the water. The Dark Knight Returns has quite possibly the greatest line work I've ever seen in a comic book, to date. Janson's lines never felt phoned in or rushed. There is actually only one panel that has always been off-putting to me, and it's a panel of the Joker running. I don't exactly know why it's so off-putting, but it has always just felt a little odd to me. Other than that, the rest of the comic looks spectacular. This comic has had such a lasting impact on not only the comic book world, but the film world as well. If you have watched a Batman movie, you've watched something that was referencing or directly influenced by this comic book. I'm sure it's going to be influencing many people for many years to come. It's funny because when I decided to do this review, I decided to read through it again. I started and some things hit me differently and other things didn't, but truly I've read this so many times that I didn't really need to read through it again. But I did. And whenever I pick it up again, I'll read it cover to cover just like every other time. There are multiple versions of this comic available. It really just depends on how much money you're willing to spend. I own the trade paperback and it only cost me $17 Canadian, and it still goes for around the same price. There is a 30th anniversary edition and it goes for a little more than around $25. And then there is the one that I've got my sights on, the Absolute Edition. This thing is gorgeous. It's a pretty penny compared to what I paid though. I've owned a few Batman comics throughout my days, but this one is one I'm never gonna let go of. It is, and always will be, my favorite telling of Batman. Total page count, 200. Total volumes, 1 trade paperback. Total score, 5 out of 5. This is a must-own comic.
Cheers, everybody. It's 2021, and I finally made my review, the first review of 2021. So thank you for sticking around, and there has been so much happening lately, and things have been going so well with my channel. You guys are absolutely amazing. Some of my videos have got views that are just going crazy right now, and the subscriber count, guess what, people? Guess what? The subscriber count hit 300. Currently, I believe it's just a little bit above 300, but wow, thank you so much, everybody. That is absolutely amazing. And you know what that means. The 300 subscriber special will be coming soon. I hope you tune in. I really enjoyed doing this review. There is going to be more coming soon, I promise. And the 300 subscriber special will be coming very soon as well. I hope you stick around. I hope you subscribe. And thank you so much. I hope everyone is staying happy, healthy, and safe. I'm ZombieJohnny. Peace.